Welcome in, everybody, to another exciting edition of The Rundown, your home for CSAA softball and baseball. Brandon Work, Jack Heckman breaking it down for you here. Jack, we got a great episode this week. We got a great interview. Coach Liz Antvelink of Chip Hills Softball sat down to talk with us. We'll get into the recap as well as a brief mention of games on the week. Coming up, a lot of conference championships have been clinched. Some actually, as recording this Wednesday, could be done tonight as well. We break down that. As well as at the end of the show, we have a very special treat for you for all of our baseball fans. Our man Jack has been crunching some numbers, and he has confirmed some things that we have had suspicions with and has found some unique things. We will show you that at the end of the show. But Jack, first of all, how's it going, man? It's a great season so far.
Pretty good. Pretty good. How about yourself?
Hey, I mean, we're living the dream. It's raining outside right now. Thursday is not going to be pretty in nighttime, early Friday morning for weather, but it's going to be a good upcoming postseason of baseball and softball. We can't wait to get into that. Before we get into the interview, big thanks to Denny's Muffler and Brakes. You can head on down State Street if you need help, basic car repair, as well as specialty in mufflers, brakes, and all sorts of things to get your car running well. Visit them. You can call the number on your screen to get a hold of Denny's Muffler and Brakes, a proud sponsor of the Rundown. With that, we have a special coach's interview for you. Coach Antvelink of Chip Hills Softball in her first season as the Warriors head skipper and how their season has been so successful so far. Now joining us here, we have Chippewa Hills head softball coach Liz Antvelink joining us here. Coach, very exciting season and glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Obviously, the community has been very behind this team, right? Chip Hills softball and baseball, right? The Diamond programs have had a lot of history behind them, and they've been itching for winning seasons, especially on the softball Diamond last 21-22. Right now, you guys are sitting above 500. I'm knocking on wood under my desk right now. Just talk about where you guys are this season and the excitement this team brings.
Yeah, our team has a winning season right now. I believe we're 15-13 as of last night after we played a hard Newaygo team at their turf. But the girls are working really, really hard all season long. In the beginning of the season, it was a little bit more difficult just because I was trying to get used to them as players and they were trying to get used to a new coach again. So both of the girls, so on both sides, we were trying to get used to each other. We have a whole new coaching staff too, and I'm thankful for the coaching staff I have. I'm brand new to Chip Hills in general, but I do have two alumni, Macy Blandy and Tegan Dangler, on my staff, and they are a huge help and kind of know the world of Chip Hills to help me out too.
Absolutely. And this year's team has put together some wins, competed in a lot of great games. Many will remember the crazy game of the 20-plus run slugfest there against, I believe, not too long ago.
Yes.
But what's been the strength you feel of this year's team and the players that you have?
So for sure, our strength this year has been our hitting. We are hitting solid all the way 1 through 9. So it makes it difficult to make a lineup. Because not only 1 through 9 can hit, but we have 15 girls total. The other ones can hit also as well. So how do you put them in the lineup too? So that's been one of our strengths this year. Just the grit of this team, the battle in this team. When they want it, they'll get it. And I think the other thing too of these girls is, especially like Newaygo and Grant and Big Rapids, I feel like they didn't think they had a chance to win against these teams. And we haven't won against Grant and Newaygo yet, but we've taken, I believe we did all 4 wins against Reed City, and we took 3 out of 4 against Big Rapids. And I think there was like aha moment that they, hey, we can compete with these teams if we are gritty enough during those times.
For sure. And with that, you have a lot of individual talent on this year's team. Talk about some of those standouts that have really, made some plays in your eyes, as well as those that have been really a part of the program and continue to have success.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people know Ella Newman. Ella's been a 4-year veteran. She's solid in the circle. She's solid hitting. She's probably going to watch this and laugh because yesterday she struck out 3 times, which is very, very rare. I don't even think she's had 1 strikeout this year. But she's been really solid on both ends. Not only that, she's been able to fill in positions that we need her in. She's played a little bit of first base. She's played center field also. So she's a big asset to our team. we have a big group of juniors and seniors. So I think we have about 5 seniors, 6 juniors, and they're all really solid. We also have, I was going to call her Ollie, but Olivia Marfio, who's solid at the plate, and she's also stepped into catch this year. We lost another senior veteran catcher, Zoe Moyer, due to a broken ankle. Um, so Olivia's really stepped up. Erin's been excellent behind the plate too. Erin Reisenberg, and also getting the lead or getting our lineup started too. She's been that 1 or 2, along with Hunter Howard. Those two are quick and they get us started right off the bat. In the circle, we have Bailey Sapper Brigner, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but I always say Bailey. But Bailey's been really an asset in the circle, so is Hannah Hoff. And then also Carly Flowers. That's that 1 through 9 lineup that I'm talking about. She's been our number 9 hitter and has been absolutely killing it and getting on base. So then we can start this all over again. So it's been awesome. You can't really just pick and choose just one kid. But
And obviously, this is your first year at Chip Hills, a lot of coaching experience prior. When you see this team, talking about the strengths of hitting, what are those things that you guys are really trying to fine tuning and get ready as you approach the postseason coming up?
it's the small things. We've had a lot of overthrows lately. That's been killing us. It's been a little bit of our fielding stuff that's been a killer. And actually, we're kind of in like a plateau in our hitting. So we're going to fine tune a few more things. We talked about it yesterday after our game. We play at Grant on Thursday. So hoping to fine tune those things to, battle with them, hopefully take 2 wins from them. It's just the small and minor things.
For sure. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining on the show. Last question, especially for all of our Warrior fans that are tuning into the show, or maybe some teams that are, starting to notice that you guys are putting together some wins over the 500 mark. When you can define this team and this season for fans that are wanting to come watch the product on the field, what's a way to describe this team and especially what those goals are for the end of the year?
Like I said before, this team battles. The team battles hard. They love the support from the Warriors fans, and we have some of the best fans. It's the whole community at Chip Hills that's like amazing. Like I've never seen anything like it before, and everyone is so welcoming, and so I really greatly appreciate that. As someone who has no knowledge of Chip Hills or anything like that, it's been really awesome to see. We have a great fan base, but the girls would love the support. They like to battle in front of their fans for sure. And they love one of my big things. I have 2 big things this year. One of my sayings that the girls know really well is next pitch, next play. So we make an error. Hey, I got to hit it harder at me. Next pitch, next play type of thing. But the other thing too, I tell the girls every game, be loud, be obnoxious. And I have Carly Flowers, who's kind of my leader on the bench. She goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how obnoxious can I be? And I always tell her, 15. She's like, on it. I'm on it. So we want our fans to be loud and obnoxious at the games because, that gets the girls hyped also.
Sounds like we need to bring a cowbell if you're heading to any Hills games coming up.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Thank you much for coming on, and good luck the rest of the season for the Warriors.
Awesome. Thank you.
Big thanks to Coach Antvelink for joining us here on the show. We wish her team, as well as all the CSAA teams, good luck here as they play tonight as we're recording this, as well as going into next week. Speaking of softball, why not start there with our recap and games coming up here, looking at the CSAA-Red softball standings. Right now, based on the tables, Grant is the team that we've been following all year. They're in the driver's seat right now. They need at least 1 against the Warriors to clinch an outright over their rival, Newaygo. As well, Chip Hills and Big Rapids right now battling in 3rd and 4th. But right now, Chip looks like they are going to hold off the Cardinals for that 3 spot. What a turnaround they've had. Reed City and Tri-County as well, looking to get some momentum going into the postseason so far. But I think notably here, especially, Jack, you look at what Grant's been able to do offensively this year. It's been very apparent. Chip Hills, they've had the bats, the consistency, as Coach Antvelink has shown and mentioned in the interview. That's just really been the thing that they're trying to really iron out. But Newaygo is a team that fundamentally is going to be fun to watch going into district play as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Those top three teams you talked about, Grant, Newaygo, Chip Hills, all great in their each own respective way. And then you go down to the 4 and 5, Reed City, Big Rapids. Those are teams last year at the top of the table. You probably expected them to do the exact same thing this year. Both of them lost some key contributors, and we've obviously seen that. Big Rapids 8-17-1, seven conference wins. Reed City's 4-0 and versus everyone 4-0 versus Tri County, and versus everyone else they're 0-20. That's something obviously you look at going into playoffs. How prepares a team like Reed City, Big Rapids? We both know they have tougher schedules, obviously, but those teams at the top, Grant, Newaygo, able to dominate the conference. Grant just needs the one win, like you mentioned. They're 17-1 in the conference. Newaygo 15-3. Those top two teams were really exciting to watch all season long, and it's really going to be something to watch going into the playoffs these next 2 weeks with these out of conference opponents coming up.
Absolutely. And multiple teams, right, going to be hosting tournaments this weekend. Reed City being one of them. See if they can collect some wins going into the postseason. Big Rapids still has to play Petoskey and TC West. Those are two very good, tough programs that they're going to do battle with. And then you obviously have a couple other teams that are playing in non-conference. Newaygo going to be facing Cedar Springs, as well as Grant going to be taking on North Muskegon at their place. So a lot of tough schedules still to go, preparing for the postseason there in the CSAA-Red. Let's flip over to the CSAA-White. Moy Stanwood, based on our math, has clinched outright for their CSAA title this year. Congratulations to the Mohawks. Central Montcalm, still a very, very good team right there in the second spot. Kent City also tied there as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how tonight goes. If either team drops a team, one other sweeps, they'll flip spots, and how that will go. Lakeview and White Cloud definitely looking to get some momentum going into the postseason. But I think especially those top three teams, I mean, Moy Stanwood's definitely going to be the one to watch as far as them winning the title. I mean, they competed very well against Fremont. I know they wanted to get some more runs in that game. But I think especially we gave them credit for the bats, but defensively and pitching wise, they were outstanding. Kent City has shown the bats can be explosive. And Central Montcalm, they can win games in a multitude of different ways with their offense and defense. And so those are going to be teams, especially, we're going to be looking out for Lakeview and White Cloud and rooting them for along the way. But looking at those district assignments, I mean, those three teams do have a really good opportunity upcoming here this next month.
Yeah, most definitely. You mentioned Morley Stanwood. That's a team that, like you said, they pitched very well. That pitching staff was great all season long, and we saw that it reflects their schedule and their record, the 9-8 record, or the 19-8 record, and then the 13-3 in conference play. But I think a team that a lot of people didn't really expect at the beginning of the season is that Kent City team. We didn't talk about them a whole much because they didn't play a whole lot of games, but that's still a team that has the chance to finish outright second place in the division. And that's a team that really turned it on at the end of the season, late April, early May. But they're a team that's really played really well these last couple weeks. And that's something to watch going into playoffs, especially with such small call. Both those teams are teams to watch. And those are both teams that can go on runs. And we know that they've played some pretty good teams coming up. But it's just interesting to see how they'll prepare for the playoffs and districts.
Certainly will be indeed. Let's look at the CSAA Red Division for baseball. Big Rapids has clinched a CSAA crown, third straight year for Coach Scarpelli with that game one win against Grant. Ultimately, the Tigers do get revenge in game two for the split. Newaygo, overall, in that series against Big Rapids, that one seemed to be really the one that they needed to get in the long haul. But overall, saw a lot of good things against Chip Hills. Both those teams split a pair there. And then Tri-County and Reed City. I mean, the Coyotes have really, since that Elk Rapids tournament, have started to really build some momentum. So that'll be interesting to see going into the postseason. And we'll kind of talk about their schedule later on in the episode, as well as some other teams in this conference. But I think overall, looking at what Big Rapids has and the grittiness that they've shown late in innings, that is something to definitely watch going into the postseason, especially trying to really reverse the curse from what we've seen the last couple of years with that team. And then Grant and Newaygo, I mean, these are teams that especially can hit their way through the opening district rounds. For Chip Hills, they have the talent to win a playoff game. They definitely have it. They just got to show it right away and see if they can really string wins together and play their best right out of the gate and not have that little opening slip up before at game two comeback, because when we get to the playoffs, it's not going to be available.
Yeah, like you said, it's one and done. Those teams at the top, Big Rapids, struggling, looking for that district win. But that's a team that hasn't played at full strength almost all season long. You mentioned Caden Schubert injured at the beginning of the season, Ty Gilchek injured, Zacho's been injured multiple times this season. But those are all three very key contributors. And if they're all three of them are healthy going to the playoffs, this is a team that I see them easily has a chance to win their district. They got some big battles coming up. You got Petoskey. That's going to be a very, very good matchup. Inland Lakes, Beale City, Mount Pleasant. All four of those teams are teams that are very good and known for being good at baseball, especially teams like Beale City, Mount Pleasant, Petoskey, Inland Lakes, a more uprising team. But there's not a better way to win a conference than a walk-off 5-run comeback in the bottom of the seventh, and that's exactly what Big Rapids did against Grant on Monday. Noah Sweppenheiser walks it off to win the conference. Just huge momentum, and you talk about momentum. We talk about it all the time. And if you want to build momentum going to the playoffs, winning conference on a walk-off is perfect example of how to build momentum going into June. And that's a team that they've done it. We know they have the talent. We know they have the athletes to do it. It's just, can they put it all together in districts and finally get that all elusive district championship, which I think they're well on their way to potentially doing that. And that is a team to watch going into these next couple weeks.
Absolutely. And we're going to be breaking down the playoff brackets here later on in this rundown series. So be sure to subscribe, follow along for more information, as well as don't miss out on each and every weekend at 3:30 p.m. live over the airwaves, this same show, wherever that you get your podcasts as well. Looking at CSAA White baseball now, Montcalm has clinched outright as expected. Congrats to the Hornets. Lakeview has made a very impressive second half climb into second place. They've just been scrapping. And I think that's been an impressive thing. That Wildcat team, right, Coach Perez, they've done a really good job of just scrapping some wins together and getting a couple in bunches, especially when you look at Morley, when you look at Kent City, when you look at White Cloud. These are teams that have played really well, but they haven't been able to collect two in a row. And that's been the difference, I think, for Lakeview to be able to get that game flip up into that second spot. Now, obviously, these are, as we mentioned right now here on Wednesday, some teams are playing each other here Wednesday and Thursday this week, so that could flip. But Lakeview hasn't got enough credit for what they've done this season. Overall, very good ball club, and they're going to be in a good position, especially with the win against Moley Stanwood. They've played some tough teams this year, and so it'll be interesting to see how they go, as well as Moley and Kent City teams that definitely can show what they got.
Yeah, most definitely. It's interesting to see how these teams end up attacking the last week and a half of the season, because there's teams, we see it in the CSAA-Red all the time. Big Rapids tends to schedule those very, very tough teams at the beginning of, or the end of the season, I should say, to get ready for the playoffs. But we see in the CSAA-White, Kent City, White Cloud, their regular season is done by the time we'll film next Wednesday. Kent City's got Central Montcalm, Ravenna, Hart, and then White Cloud has a tournament this weekend, and then they'll have Kent City tonight. It's interesting to see how those teams prepare, and I think a team that's been prepared and will be prepared is a team like Central Montcalm. They play a tougher schedule. We'll get into that more later, but they're still a team that's 17-3. They played 20 games, 10-1 in conference, won it outright, but they've really been carried by that pitching. Emmett Lingman and Cam Bracey, those are two guys who have come out as aces, and that's something that a lot of teams question, who's the ace of the team. Well, Central Montcalm doesn't have to question that at all, and that's a huge thing coming to districts when you have to play a doubleheader on a Saturday or even have to play a play-in game in some teams' case scenarios. But this is as far as Lingman and Bracey will take the Central Montcalm team. That's as far as this team will go, and I think that's both of them can carry this team very far. Lingman had the 12 strikeouts. His walk numbers are a little higher than you really want to be, but that's something you kind of expect coming out of high school baseball. But he's not your average high school pitcher. Emmett Lingman is a very talented pitcher, tops out at 95, throwing 92 to 94 with that fastball. He's a very, very good pitcher, and that's something that if you're going to make it out to a game, any playoff game, it's something to watch is Central Montcalm and how they attack their district in 2 weeks from now.
Should be very exciting indeed. Some people, of course, in the family barbecues say that, yeah, my kid throws 80 to 85, this kid can do it. And he has shown that. And he obviously, with that scouting resume he's got, it's going to be very exciting to watch, as well as the whole CSA White and how they shake out in postseason play. Before we get into our final surprise of the episode, big thanks goes out to Eagle Village, a primary sponsor here of the Rundown. If you want a job that means more than the job description, head on over to eaglevillage.org. Eagle Village, where potential soars. They're hiring full-time, part-time, seasonal staff for an upcoming summer. You can find out more, as mentioned, eaglevillage.org. Let's look here at a special chart. Jack wanted to crunch down the numbers, and we're obviously going to get to softball here next week on the episode as well, looking into postseason, and then we'll get to the bracket episode. But we wanted to do this especially illuminate a lot of these teams. And Jack, I think with this graph that you have so orchestrated beautifully, we're seeing the teams, how they compare with their strength of schedule, how they have been able to do in those games, execution, right, getting the wins at the end of the day, and how they compare. And I think that the number one thing here that we will break down is how some teams, even though the record doesn't show it, how prepared they're going to be for playoffs as far as that. But first of all, kind of explain to the people what you have made and what it represents.
So this graph basically you're seeing it's the bowl championship series strength of schedule, something college football used before they got the new college football playoff 4 team and then now the 12 team playoff. But it's the formula is 2 times the value of your opponent's win percentage plus 1 times your opponent's win percentage divided by 3. A little bit complex there to get the true numbers, but it's something you really look at. Looking at Big Rapids, you see them as an outlier on this graph, nobody around them because they play such a tough schedule, a 500 team right now. But that schedule is far and away better than anyone else in the conference. You have a team like Reed City who's not far behind them in the conference standpoint, which is very interesting to see. But that's still a team with Reed City who only has a 200 win percentage, where Big Rapids is a 500 team. We're going to move on down to Grant and Newaygo. This is something interesting between Grant and Newaygo. Newaygo a little bit tougher of a schedule, but Grant has the higher win percentage. That's something, you look hand in hand. And obviously, this isn't taking in all the numbers from pitching, hitting, and stuff like that. This is just a good way to see who's battle tested going into the playoffs. And you look at another outlier, Central Montcalm. That's a team with an 850 win percentage right now. But they're playing a semi-tough schedule or they're playing a tougher schedule than a lot of teams in this conference. The only teams higher than them right now are Reed City, Big Rapids, Tri-County, but they're playing a very even schedule to a team like Newaygo. And that's something I think it's fair to say right now. If Central Montcalm and the conference is never split, Central Montcalm would be a second/third place team in the conference right now. You'd have the more games against Big Rapids, a tougher opponent. You'd also have Grant and Newaygo as well. Big Rapids and Central Montcalm match up a week from now on the 21st. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. But just looking at these outliers, you look at the smaller teams like Lakeview, Morley, Stanwood, they're a little bit tougher schedule than you might expect just looking at it on paper, but really getting a feel for where they're at. They're around these teams with Tri-County, White Cloud, and Morley Stanwood are. And you have your team like Kent City. They play in an area where you can schedule Grand Rapids teams, but they choose not to, or they choose to schedule us much easier, such teams like Wyoming Lee and Covenant Christian, who aren't that great of baseball schools. But you look at it, you have the Lakeview Chip Hills. Looking at this and getting everyone a feel for how they look together on a graph shows you who's playing who and how they're playing each other, and if they're really winning those tough teams, such as the Central Montcalm with the 850 win percentage, Big Rapids with the 500 win percentage, Reed City sits. Those are the 3 outliers: Reed City, Big Rapids, Central Montcalm, but Reed City sitting with a 200 win percentage, still playing a tough schedule. Reed City's a team that, who knows, that's a team that's got a tougher schedule, a much more battle-tested team, which is something you really pay attention to going into playoffs. But Reed City, Big Rapids, Central Montcalm, if you're looking for a team on this graph right now, those are the teams that obviously pop out, and those are teams that are going to be battle-tested and ready for these playoffs coming up.
And especially when you look at these numbers, right, and you look at these teams, when it goes into playoff time, nobody understands, right, especially how much that this battle-tested formula really matters. And not like saying we can predict the playoffs with this model, but I think it goes to show, even though you see a team like Reed City, you see a team like Tri-County, right? You see teams like Moy Stanwood, even though they don't have the win percentage, that does not mean that they can't play well in the postseason. And that's really the thing that especially this graph illuminates really well. Even though Newaygo and Grant, they are good teams. They're going to be teams that we're going to watch because they have won games. But you look, they're just as battle-tested as teams like Tri-County, and you would even say, especially with the numbers, right, numerically, they're not as battle-tested as Reed City and Big Rapids, right? And I think it goes to show, especially when you look at Central Montcalm as the one to highlight, this is a team that's won a lot of games with a similar schedule to Newaygo, to Moy Stanwood, to White Cloud, right? They have gotten those games and they have been able to win. So they find a way to win, and especially that pitching staff that explains it. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And I think just based on looking at this graph, right, maybe we're going to be paying a little bit more attention to some of those lower teams, looking at the Moy Stanwoods, right, looking at the White Clouds that have played some good ball this year, might not have gotten all the wins to prove it, right? We've seen the substance, not the outcomes, but maybe that's going to be a team that, hey, even though we've played a lot of tough teams, we're ready for this moment. We've played those, right? We've been able to get some of those splits. That's going to be very interesting, and it goes down to the coach's strategy at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, Jack, I will put you on the spot for one team that you're looking out for that maybe we're not looking at right now. What's that one team that you think might be one to watch for, and why?
Well, we talked about the big three, Reed City, Big Rapids, Central Montcalm. Those are teams that we talked about. But a sneaky team is Newaygo. Newaygo, they had the Grant and stuff like that, but they're right there with Grant as well. Grant was a team that played Big Rapids toughly. And if you look at the head-to-head, there's multiple things to look at. But Grant, Big Rapids, that's something to watch and how that affects Newaygo. You might not think how it affects them on paper just because they're not playing each other, but Newaygo's a team that took one from Big Rapids in game three. You might be able to watch them going into districts and just look at that Big Rapids Grant matchup the last 2 days. I know Big Rapids already had the conference clinched, but that affects Newaygo greatly because they look at it and now you're a team that played a tougher schedule than Grant. You had a slightly, ever so slightly lower win percentage as we sit right now on Wednesday. But Newaygo, if you look at them going in the next couple of weeks, that's something that I think would be interesting to watch. But you obviously, Big Rapids, Reed City, Central Montcalm, those are your three outliers and something to watch. Reed City could be able to sneak in a couple wins in the playoffs.
This should be very interesting indeed as we look towards the postseason. And be sure to get all your coverage right here on the rundown for episodes like these. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Big thanks as well goes out to Dazos Digital. Target your target audience with digital assets, creative, all the nine. You can find out more at dazosdigital.com. And we have appreciated all the love we've had on the way. We'll have another episode next week. We'll be breaking down numbers like these for softball, as well as, of course, the weekly recaps. To find games of the week, upcoming games on the schedule, go to WBRN.com. On the side column on the right-hand side of the website, if you're looking on a browser on a computer or a laptop or a tablet on the phone, you can just keep on scrolling down and you won't miss it. All the scores, all the schedules for the local games, and maybe we'll even highlight Jack and I's games of the week just to give you a little bit more emphasis on those ones. But you can find out more information there. Jack, any last thoughts?
Nope, but I think this is something really to look at. The true win value on some of these teams is very interesting, especially those shocking middle teams. And then Central Montcalm's a team that we obviously knew they have what they have, but it's interesting to see them on a graph.
Graphs are fun for all of our math nerds. If not, it's all right. That's why we're here to help explain all the numbers that just don't make sense. Be sure to subscribe, everybody. And until next time, we'll see you here on Big Rapids News YouTube for the rundown.